Something truly incredible is happening in the United States of America. With President Donald Trump in office, the stock market is surging to all-time highs. Most Americans are already wealthier under number 47, with their retirement accounts growing. And this is reflecting a new optimism in the American people, Main Street as well as Wall Street. But as usual, politicians in the DC swamp are doing better than ever before, especially better than hedge fund managers and the American public. The DC swamp is up to its usual tricks of making record profits using inside information to trade stocks when they think we're not looking. Now, somebody that has been red-pilled over the last 2 years and become a big fan of President Trump is hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman, a lifelong Democrat up until Kamala Harris and Joe Biden completely screwed over the American people. He's now calling out members of Congress for their blatant insider trading over on X after Unusual Whales released their new report about what's going on with members of Congress. So let me just show you guys what he had to say here. Bill Ackman said, "The stock market performance of our politicians is extraordinary. I'm surprised they have not launched hedge funds on the side. They make Madoff look like a massive underperformer." Some of these guys are double digits and even triple digits. They make Nancy Pelosi look like a beginner, but almost all of them are outperforming even people like Warren Buffett and Bill Ackman himself. Now, joining me to help shed light on what's going on is Ross Givens. He's a 20-year stock veteran, former vice president of a Wall Street bank, and a leading expert on insider trading. Ross, thank you so much for joining me again.
Hey, my pleasure, Stephen.
So I love having you on because you and your team dig in on what the heck's going on with different stocks, what's going on with President Trump, and what's going on with these members of Congress. I mean, so you've been on the channel before. You guys have been tracking this stuff for almost a decade. Bill Ackman is not a novice. This is a guy who is known for being an incredible trader. When he comes out and says something's not right, these guys shouldn't be performing so well, what are your first thoughts?
Well, he's 100% right. And yes, Ackman is, I mean, a legend on Wall Street. If there was an authority to speak on this, he's the one. And you know, if you take a look, this chart you're seeing on the screen right here, this is the report that Bill Ackman is referring to. These are the stock market returns of the top 30 congressmen last year. And you know, look, 2024 was a good year, like 24% or so in the market, very strong economy. But these politicians made much, much more than that. I mean, look at this top guy, 149% in a single year from David Rouser. I mean, Stephen, these numbers are unheard of. Ackman, as you said, who's a lead, he's never done this. Warren Buffett is the best there's ever been. He's never made 100% in a single year, never in his entire career. Yet 7 members of Congress were able to do it the same year. You know, they're obviously trading on inside information is the only way this is possible. And I'm just glad that their trades, we can see them and we can piggyback these for ourselves.
You know, it's bad when people aren't afraid of public humiliation or retribution. These guys pay very tiny fines, but then get access to the most incredible insider information. I'm glad you brought this up because I don't think most people realize that members of Congress have to publicly file their trades. And that's why Unusual Whale can go in and collect the data, aggregate it, and let us know, holy crap, these guys are doing, you know, 300% better than some of the best hedge fund traders in Wall Street. But can we actually see the individual stocks that they're performing with? Or
we can, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think, you know, guys like what Unusual Whales is doing are finally shedding light on this. I mean, this has been happening for decades, but typically you wouldn't know about it. But now that all this information is freely available, you know, when they report their stock trades, they try to hide it in some little database, but it's public information. You can see exactly what they buy, in what amount, when they do it. All we do for our members is simply track this stuff. In fact, we've been doing it since 2017, and we just follow the trades of these insiders. Stephen, we've never had a losing year. We actually have a free training event coming up this Wednesday for people who want to learn how to do this for themselves. I encourage you guys to come. It's online. It's completely free to attend. But what we do is we show people how to find these trades, what to look for, how to piggyback these politicians and other insiders, potentially make big profits in the stock market.
I mean, I think most people would love to sit down with Bill Ackman and pick his brain. But when a billionaire hedge fund manager is saying, whatever these guys in Wall Street, or excuse me, in Congress know, they're absolutely crushing it. So the fact that you guys can track that and share with people not only what they're doing, but maybe why they're doing it, the insight, the events that you guys do are incredible. When is that next event?
Yeah, this coming Wednesday. So it's Wednesday, January 29th, 3:00 Eastern.
Okay. So, okay. I'll put a link for people to go register so that they can learn more about that. You said that they have to be using insider information. What kind of information? How do they get this? Is it because they sit on certain committees?
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, it's a lot of things. A simple example would be like Pelosi, who you mentioned earlier. 2 years ago, she put millions of dollars into NVIDIA stock. In fact, this leveraged exotic trade just days before her committee passed the CHIPS Act. Her committee brought it in, but Congress passed the CHIPS Act. And it gave $54 billion in government subsidies to the semiconductor companies like NVIDIA. So the stock shoots way up. She quadruples her money, made something like $4 million profit on that one. But I'll give you a more recent example because it's in the news right now. Everyone's familiar with the TikTok ban, I assume, right? Congress, voted to ban this app over national security concerns. The deadline was January 19th. Well, here's the part you don't know. So this bill was authored by a congressman named Michael McCall. He's a Republican from Texas. And right after he wrote it, he started buying stock in Meta, which is the company that owns Facebook and Instagram. So buys 150,000 on the 22nd, another 150,000, another 150,000. So like 3 weeks after he writes this bill to ban TikTok, he's already invested $450,000 into their biggest competitor. Now that'd be a little suspicious, right?
Yeah, and I know that President Trump brought it back. A lot of people are happy. They give him credit. What I would be now interested in knowing is, did this Representative McCall sell those shares and make a profit before President Trump brought it back? I mean, it's just these guys are definitely playing inside information. Not only did he know that they were going to ban TikTok, he's the one that crammed it down their throat. And then he goes and buys their competitor. Like that's not even suspicious. That is, I don't even know what the word is. It's dishonest.
Well, it gets worse than that. So, Trump has, of course, pulled this thing back recently, but nobody knew he was going to do that. The Supreme Court upheld this ban. As far as anyone knew, TikTok would cease to exist on January the 20th. So if TikTok ceases to exist, all those billions of people, all those eyeballs, all those ad dollars are going to go where? Facebook, Instagram, the things Meta owns, right? So it's a very simple play there. So not only that, Stephen, the way they passed that TikTok bill, because this was several months ago when it happened, the trick Republicans pulled was to make sure it would pass, they attached it to the aid package for Ukraine. So in order to get those $95 billion to line the pockets of their donors and their friends in the military-industrial complex, they also had to vote yes on the TikTok ban. And when McCall did that, he knew the thing was going to pass. So this ban made it pretty much a sure thing. So what does he do once it's locked in? He's already got $450,000 in. He starts buying more. Another $350,000, another $350,000. I mean, McCall puts $1.15 million into Meta stock, the top competitor of TikTok, the company he wrote the bill to ban. I mean, it is the definition of insider trading. And this is one of dozens of examples. It happens every day, and they just seem to have immunity. I mean, even if they do get pinched for one of this or don't report in time, the fine for violating the Stock Act, Steve, is $200. don't care about a $200 fine. Pelosi made $4 million on her last trade. So it's a joke, really. But again, we can follow these trades.
Yeah, Pelosi spends that every week in ice cream. I mean, like that fine is no barrier to entry. When they can make $4 million on one trade, they can make 20x their salary with
Right.
one trade. I mean, it's disgusting to me. So I know exactly what you're talking about. They do this on both sides. They call it a poison pill, where they're like, oh, we've got to get money to Israel. Israel's our best ally in the Middle East. And then they try to slip through a raise, or they try to slip through the TikTok ban. And in the meantime, not only are they trying to destroy a company, but they're saying, where's all that money and traffic going to go? That's where I'm going to plant $1.4 million so that I can get a 149% return on my money, getting, 300% more than Warren Buffett. It's ridiculous.
And it is. And look, it's kind of an open secret on Capitol Hill, but these guys they all leave millionaires. We've talked about this before. Trump's the only person, I think, probably in history, who's ever left Washington, D.C. poorer than when he came. The rest of them some come rich already, some don't. I mean, McCall, who we're talking about, they have to file paperwork on their net worth and their assets. He came in Congress in 2004. He was worth $12 million. Stephen, last year, he's worth $294 million. Make that make sense to me. How is that possible? How are the 10 of the richest suburbs in America surrounding Washington, D.C.? The only way this is achieved is because they're making these massive stock trades on private information that they have access to. It is their, it's their big loophole. It's how they get rich, period.
I think about this. Ron Wyden, the senator, I believe he sits on the finance committee. If you take $1 million and you grow it by 120% every year, compound for 10 years, you're going to be a multi-millionaire. I mean, it's crazy. Every year, these guys are outperforming Warren Buffett and others. To me, it's like you say, the one advantage is we can track what they're doing. We're not using insider information. We're using public information, but it still just makes my blood boil knowing that these guys are using their committee positions to get rich off of the American people.
It does. And look, it used to make me angry as well. And I can understand the frustration, but I think I'm probably the only person you'll ever interview that goes, let him keep trading, because we're making money alongside him, right? We can follow the trade. So is it fair? No. Is it ethical? Absolutely not. But we might as well level the playing field. And this stuff happens all the times in a variety of companies. I mean, Representative Sidney Axne was trading Wells Fargo stock while she sat on the Financial Services Committee in charge of investigating Wells Fargo. Remember the big account scandal? Earl Blumenauer was buying defense company stocks the day Russia invaded Ukraine. Catherine Clark bought HoloLogic stock in 2020, 1 week before her committee awarded them a $119 million COVID testing contract. I mean, of course, the stock launched. Like, this stuff happens all the time, over and over. And don't even get me started on Pelosi. I mean, this woman's come from nothing. She's worth $300 million today. But that's how they've outperformed, period. I mean, you've got folks like Buffett and folks like Ackman, the best there ever been, do this full time, have huge staffs of researchers and analysts looking for this stuff. And then you've got a congressman who places a couple of stock trades from his cell phone, and he's outperforming all of them. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's so blatantly obvious that if I buy stock X and I know we're about to give $10 billion and I get to choose A, B, C, or X, I'm going to push to X because it financially benefits me personally. Is there any chance? I know Trump brought up that maybe Nancy Pelosi should be investigated for a trade she did with Visa. Is there any chance even Trump can get this stuff stopped?
I think he could. I mean, if anyone could do it, it's Trump. I'm not betting on it. And then, when you think about it, look, Trump came out of the gate strong. I mean, what did he sign? Like 40 executive orders his first day. DEI programs gone immediately. The Spanish White House website deleted. Border immediately closed. Government employees back in the office, so you're fired. I mean, he ended birthright citizenship on day one, right? He is not wasting any time. So if he wanted to, he absolutely could have banned congressional trading too. But he didn't. And the fact is, and I don't blame Trump for this. I just think that he has a lot to get done. And he's going to need Congress's support for a lot of it. He's a smart guy, knows how to negotiate. He's going, look, is it worth it to stop these 30, 40, 50 people from making a few bucks to not get done all these things that are going to benefit hundreds of millions of Americans, right? Banning the stock, I just think would piss off a lot of Congress. And, I don't think he's going to do it for those political reasons. I just don't think it's a high priority. And like I said, I know it's not a popular opinion, but they're really not hurting anybody, right? Illegal immigrants who are raping and killing people, they're hurting people, right? It's not fair what Congress is doing. It's not right. It's not ethical. But when they're making money in the stock market, it's not taking money from everyone else, right? It's not like when you give $100 billion to Ukraine, that's your and my dollars. We earned it. When they're making money in the stock market, so is everyone else. They're just making more than they should. Plus, again, we can follow their trades. So we've been following these since 2017. I've been doing it longer than anybody else that I know of. We actually do it as a service for our members, as you're aware. I mean, our stock portfolio is up 1,900% since we started. So my message to people would be, listen, if you're not using this information for yourself, which is free, it's publicly available, I think you're doing yourself a big disservice, and you're missing out on a lot of potential profits.
Well, the other thing is that you guys pick up on is like a lot of us, we're just busy trying to make money, save for retirement, maybe do a vacation, deal with these high grocery bills. So we don't have time to track that stuff. So when your team sees a flashing red light, holy cow, this CEO out of nowhere just bought $1 million of his own stock, and oh, so did the CFO, and oh, so did the CMO. Like, something is about to happen. These members of Congress, they're not putting in $100 or $1,000 or $10,000. They're putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they are basically, they're not playing for risk. They're playing to win. And if we get to see where these CEOs, these C-level executives and members of Congress are saying, we're very confident something big's about to happen, I just think you would be crazy not to follow their lead.
Well, I agree. And look, I've got, 7.5 years of track record backing up that there's a huge edge in doing this. Now, I'm not saying every single time a politician buys a stock, it's going to double next month. Sometimes they just like the company. Sometimes it's coincidental. But yeah, man, we've bought pharmaceutical stocks when we saw 10, 11 different employees of the company suddenly buying it up right in the middle of stage 2 drug trials. Like, shocker, the results were good and the stock quadrupled, right? We bought all kinds of stocks that have had huge unknown news come out, but we were tipped off to it, whether it's a buyout or a big earnings report or a drug trial or a monstrous government contract, whatever it may be. We get tipped off both by these politicians, but also, as you said, the corporate insider, the CEO, the CFO, the executives. You can see their trades too. I can tell you when Elon Musk buys Tesla stock within 48 hours. We can see when the chief marketing officer of Coca-Cola buys or sells the stock. And we're very good at this. I got a team of analysts, and we scan this stuff every single day. So we're finding not only what stocks they're buying, but when they're doing it, as you said, in large quantities that are rare, right? We want to see multiple executives or multiple politicians all buying the same little off the radar stock in big amounts of their own money for the first time in 2, 3, 4 years, suddenly out of nowhere. Like, that's the kind of stuff that tips you off. And more often than not, as you said, it's just before some great news comes out, the stock makes a big move. So I think it's the best kept secret on Wall Street. I think it's the biggest edge the average person has to outperform the market. And when you look at members of Congress, they're not stock traders. These people aren't coming from Wall Street. Right? They're lawyers. I mean, AOC is a bartender, for God's sake, right? They don't have backgrounds on Wall Street, most of them, yet they're outperforming every single hedge fund. It's, the writing is on the wall. This is how to outperform the market. So I encourage people to come. Again, it's a free event this Wednesday, Jan 29th, 3 o'clock Eastern. It is online. It doesn't cost a dime. There is no catch to it. Stephen, you've joined these before. I think they're very eye-opening. Got a lot of great feedback. We just show people how to do this, how to find the database, where to see all these trades, what you want to look for in the best opportunities, and try to take basically 10 years of our work, jam it into an hour, and give people a skill set to making money. And we've got a lot of happy members that have joined us. Some have learned to do this on their own and run off with it. Others say, hey, Ross, I love what you're doing. Send me the research. And we do that, as you know. So, yeah, I encourage people to go. I appreciate you putting the link down there. Just name, email, phone number. We'll send you the information. We even text you a link to join right before we get started so you don't forget. So,
yeah, the thing I think is so cool about it is this is happening whether you like it or not, and that data is being released. But then you have a team of analysts that are combing through the data and have real life experience saying, hey, there's like flashing lights that something's going on here. I mean, I'm busy running a company, taking care of employees, children, all that. So to have a team that's doing that is really, really incredible. Well, Ross, I don't want to take up your whole weekend. I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to put a direct link down below so that my community can check that out. And I encourage you to join. I'll be there. Thank you again for all the research and figuring this stuff out.
Sorry to cut you off. Speaking of research, I forgot to mention, everyone who registers, we're going to send you all of our research on our newest pick. So we did this before. We're going to do it again this week. So even if you cannot attend, I encourage you, just put your name and email in there. We'll send it to you free of charge. You can see all of our research on the stock, which insiders are buying. And I think when you see that, it'll be very eye-opening what's available to you. But just wanted to mention that as well.
Oh, very cool. Thank you. Thank you for making that available. All right. Hey, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Hey, you too, Stephen. Good talking to you.